Hey, welcome back everyone. If you could just do me a quick favor and hit subscribe to my channel, like, share, comment. I like hearing from everyone and it helps out my channel, helps get more recommendations, more views and all that. So if you could do that, thanks. Anyway, we're about midway through the winter right now and I just wanted to, figured I'd just give a quick update on the fleet currently where everything stands. Today is a nice day. It's sunny, it's warm, and so I'm trying to spend a little time taking care of a few things, a little maintenance. So anyway, because we're standing right here, the 67 Buick Skylark. Just started it up the other day because I had to get some stuff out of the garage. So it had been sitting for several weeks, fired right up, no problem, took it out. If I get another day that's decent like this, I am going to drive it to work just to get a little exercise on it. So this one is running and driving fine. Just want to take care of a few minor details, like this battery cable was on here when I got the car and you can see the way it's stretched. It's too short, and you know it's pulling out a little bit out of here. I mean, it works fine at this point, but I'd like to get the correct battery cable on there. I already placed the negative one, so that's good to go. These valve covers are nice and I like them, but I also got a set of factory valve covers that would have come on. This is a 430 cubic inch that allegedly came out of a Wildcat. One of the previous owners to this car did the swap, and when I bought the car, it came with the original Buick stamped valve covers that say 430. So I thought that would look cool. They're red. Put those on there. Haven't gotten a chance to do that. Oh, the radio is terrible. Let's go around the other side. So this car has a Richmond 5-speed. It's basically the old Doug Nash 4+1. It's not an overdrive. The way it works is first gear is a really high numerical ratio to get you off the line. Fifth gear is 1-to-1 on this. This car has a factory 293 rear axle ratio, so it works out pretty well with this transmission, because you got like a 320 something first gear and a 1-to-1 fifth gear. So it takes off great and cruises down the highway. You know, if you're going 65 or whatever, it's probably like 2,500 RPM or maybe even less. It's pretty good. I got this radio from my buddy for free. He just let me have it. He used to have it in his 67 Chevelle, and it works, but it's one of those old you know, retrofit stereo cassette radios, and you know, while it works, it's not the greatest. Like there's lots of loud noises when you switch the channel, like pops, and you can't see the display unless you really get right up on there. It's very faded, the LCD, and the volume control. This is the worst part. Like sometimes when you want to turn down the volume, it actually just gets louder and louder and louder to the point where like you're breaking your ears and blowing your ears out. So I pretty much don't even use it anymore. So I have the original factory AM radio that was in here, and I don't even know if it works. At the time it wasn't connected, so I might try putting that back in, or I might just try getting a newer modern stereo that will fit in that spot. This car, the guy, you know, when I bought it from him, it's got tons of wires and amplifiers in the trunk, and it's a mess, and it doesn't even sound good. The front speakers are down below here, which when you're driving, especially on the highway, you can't hear anything. All you can hear is what's coming out of the back. There's no you know, like modern cars have speakers up here. This car doesn't have it. I don't know if it's possible. I mean, this could probably cut into this dash, because this is not an original dash pad. Somebody just recovered this with some vinyl material. And the factory has a speaker right here, one mono speaker in the front, so maybe that's an option too. I mean, I always wanted to update the gauges in here. I mean, these autometer gauges, they work great, they're fine. I just don't think the style fits this car. I was looking at something maybe a little more vintage looking. Like, I really like the Stuart Warner, whatever series that they have that looks like the 60s. Something like that, or maybe even just something cheaper, like an auto gauge, something with a black face, I think would look better. The silver doesn't really make sense to me in this car. But I mean, other than that, this car is pretty good to go. I mean, it's just a cruiser, and the kids love riding in it. Grand National, this car gets neglected the most. This used to be my only toy, if you want to call it, play around with, and I did tons of work on it. I've had it for like 13 years. The first 5, 6, 7 years I had it, I just did tons of work on it. Just doing a lot of like bolt-on upgrades. I can't even open the hood with this situation here. I'd probably do a separate walk-around video on this car. But anyway, it just sits. It's really sad to me because with all these other cars, I don't have time for it. But you know, I did get it out and drive it a few times last year, and I want to do more of that. Just because I think sitting for it is just the worst. It's the worst thing for it. But this one's in nice shape. I mean, it's not perfect, but I bought it, had 16,000 miles original. Now it's got like 22, I think. And it doesn't really need much of anything. It just needs a good cleaning. It's really dirty. Been sitting for ages. Needs paint, the paint needs, I guess what you would call paint correction these days. I don't know of any places that are, you know, reputable or anything, so I just hesitate to do anything with it. But it's got a lot of fine scratches and stuff in the paint. It needs polishing, it needs compounding, buffing, all that stuff. But I'll get to it someday. Right now, I just want to put the battery tender on it because the battery on this one, when it sits for a few weeks, it gets weak, gets real low. So you guys got 24,000 miles on it now. But like I said, I've had it for, it'll be 14 years this year. So I put about 8,000 on it. It's not too much over 14 years. Anyway, so that's the deal with this one. What else does this one need? I don't think it really needs anything else. I would like to change this gauge setup too. Oh. It's kind of got gauges all over the place, which I don't like, but they're pretty useful on this car. Like I got the boost gauge, the fuel gauge right in your face. Down here is the water and oil, because these cars had a bad factory gauge setup. It's just warning lights and this strange bar graph tack, which works. And then I've got the ScanMaster, which plugs into the OBD1 system and reads out all kinds of parameters with the car, which is great. It's just not the best looking thing sitting here. So they have the newer round ScanMaster that I bought like years ago when it first came out, and I never put it in because I didn't have a place to put it. I want to get a 3-gauge pod so I can move the ScanMaster up here and still keep the boost and the fuel on the A-pillar. That's something I've been meaning to do for a long time, so I would like to do that. But yeah, everything else is working on this one right now. Cutlass. This came off. Cutlass. Most recent, this is the 86 442. By the way, the Grand National is an 87. This is an 86 442 that I bought a few years back that had been sitting for a long time. neglected, in sad cosmetic condition, poor running condition. Couldn't really drive it. The brake lines were all blown out. And so I've been trying to get this one back into decent like driver condition, like a daily driver, which it can do now. It's got some quirks. It's really hard to start after it's been sitting a few days. I don't know if the fuel in the carburetor is draining out, or if I got a bad accelerator pump, or what's going on, but you have to crank it forever to get it started. But then, you know, the rest of the day it starts right up. But it seems after you let it sit for a couple of days, yeah, you get into that situation where there's no fuel in the carburetor. It doesn't want to start. So I have the decals. When I did the paintwork, I have to put the 442 decals back on. Maybe I'll do that today because it's nice. And the car needs 4 new shocks. They're shot. Cruise control is not working right. When you turn it on, the freaking thing just takes off. The remote trunk release, when you use it, it blows the fuse. So I got to figure that out. And it's got some oil leaks. Drips some oil. It looks like it's coming from the valve covers. So probably do some valve cover gaskets on it. So a bunch of little minor things. The other thing going on is probably, it sounds like an exhaust leak. Tapping noise. Definitely on the driver's side. Could be where the manifold meets the downpipe of the exhaust. Other than that, it works good. AC works, heat. Stereo sounds good, the factory stereo. This needs a good cleaning too. But I drove this to work recently a few times. It's fine. Gets terrible, terrible gas mileage. It's like 12, maybe 13. And most of my trip to work is highway. So, not good. Oh yeah, and one other thing I want to do to it. There's a rust hole in the bottom of this door. Because as you can see, leaves and debris collect here. I just patched it because it was really ugly. I just JB welded a patch on it years ago just because I couldn't stand looking at the hole, but I gotta remove this and fix it the right way. Try to weld something in. There is rust at the bottoms of these doors. They all do that when they sit outside after all these years. And clean up the wheels. They're always rusting. If you Brillo them, they look real good. I'm gonna do that again. Okay, so I got these new decals. This one's for the trunk lid. Now, the one that was on here, I measured, it was, the 442 was 1 3/8 from the bottom lip and 1 1/2 from the side. So it ended up being right about there. Which looks good. Ah. I'm gonna go for it. That looks fine. Take a quick measurement. 1 3/8. It's a little higher on this side, actually. I'm afraid. Yeah, too late. Close enough. Hopefully that will be good. All right, not bad. Wipe some alcohol. 1.5 from this edge, and then a little more than 1 1/4 up from the molding. Got that marked off. I gotta bring that down a little bit. You could probably eyeball it. It's pretty much right there. Love doing factory stripes and decals. You gotta have the factory stuff. It just looks like it's not complete without it. Okay. Oops. Shit. A little bit off. All right. Okay. Nice. These were cheap too. I think I found them on eBay. It was maybe like 30 bucks for the set of 4. One for each door, one for the trunk lid, and then one for the front bumper. I ended up taking 2 of them off because I did not paint the other side or the front bumper. Front bumper needs to be painted, but that's another project for another day. So this is good for now. I guess at this point the paint job is officially done. I think everything has been put back the way it was. The stickers that are on here, I don't think they're original because this car was already repainted, but definitely faded compared to the new ones. But being they're on opposite sides, not too noticeable. See, I think I'm supposed to have this kind of emblem on the back, but I don't, and that's okay. Charger, my daily driver. Had it for about 4.5 years now. Starting to get into some issues with this, just minor stuff. Has a warranty, extended powertrain warranty I got on it when it was new. Actually, I bought it used, but it was 6 months old when I bought it. So front, when you start up the engine, there's noises. There's, you know, the usual like belt chirping, ticking noises, and the new one is like a growling, grinding sound. I think it might be the water pump. So I had an appointment to bring that in. This is a 2018 Charger RT 5.7 Hemi. Oh, and this other annoying thing, the door. This is a common thing on these. The door panel just completely separates from its base and pulls up. This side of the car is always in the sun the way I park it here. The other side hasn't done it yet, but this is just crazy. So I got to try to, people take these off and put staples in them, I guess. It's the only way you can really fix it. I got to deal with that. The 84 Z28. This one's got a lot of issues. So I just had to put a new battery in it. The battery had died completely. It had gone down to like 1 volt. So now I got to check if there's some kind of electrical draw that's draining the battery when it was sitting. So I hooked up my multimeter between the negative on the battery and the negative ground on the car on amps, on the amp setting, and it's coming up with 0.03, which should be fine. I mean, that should not be drawing the battery down to the point of 1 volt after sitting for a month. So I'm just going to assume that other battery went bad, internally shorted, something happened to it, and hopefully with the new battery now we're good to go. I was just checking the timing on it. I had checked the timing in one of my previous videos, and then one of the viewers commented and pointed out that there's this 4-pin wiring connector back here, which is for the distributor electronic control. When you're checking and setting the timing, that has to be disconnected. So I just did that, checked the timing. It's at 12.5 degrees initial. The factory specification is 6 degrees, but that's in drive, 600 RPM. When I checked it, it was more like 750, so it's somewhere in between 6 and 12.5. I need somebody to help me hold the brake so I can check it. So car runs good as it is, so I don't think I'm gonna change it, but if I do, I need more time to get it out and road test and stuff. It's all blocked in here. It does need 93 octane, otherwise it'll ping, and that's probably because the timing is set a little high. And then the big problem with this one is the leaking T-tops. They were leaking, you know, decent amount, and then last fall I tried to adjust them, try to bring them down to tighten. It made it worse. It leaks like crazy now, so I got to keep it covered because it's outside. Otherwise the interior is getting trashed. So I think I'm just going to get all new seals, and that's, you know, that's going to be a huge pain. I did one set on my IROC going back like 25 years, and I don't remember too much about it other than it was a huge pain in the butt. So not really looking forward to that, but I do have to do that. Also, I redid the AC system on this last year. New compressor, new dryer, new orifice, new O-rings. Charged it up. It was working pretty good for a few weeks, and then wasn't as cool, and I thought maybe it was just the hot weather, but then another few weeks went by and didn't work at all. So I've obviously got a leak, and the refrigerant is leaking out. So once the warm weather hits in the spring, I'm gonna have to deal with that. And the transmission works fine driving around, but when you get on it a little bit, it just really wants to slip. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3 shifts flare up pretty bad. So I'm gonna have to probably get another transmission or get this one rebuilt, which will be a huge expense I'm not really looking forward to. So I'm kind of been putting that off. And then the Jeep, family truckster, just got new tires on that, and now I'm starting to see some oil dripping. It never really leaked before, but starting to get some little drips. When you drive it, you can smell a little oil burning, so I'm guessing probably that it's got some leaking valve cover gaskets. It's got 162,000 now, so I'm gonna have to check into that too. So as you can see, a lot of little things going on. It'll keep me busy. All these things, I won't even get to all these things this whole year, 2023, but we'll see how far we get, and whatever I do, I will probably make a video about it. So like I said, hit subscribe if you're interested in this kind of stuff, and yeah, that's about it. I try to put out a video once a week, but I usually miss that mark, so maybe 3 a month, 3, 4 a month I shoot for. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll check you guys next time. Thanks.